Automatic feeders are evolving. Let's talk about it.
That's right. Yeah, we use them here in the office all the time. They're a really important piece of equipment here, and that's mainly because of this tank back behind us here. These little anthias go crazy, and they have to eat multiple times a day. So that's one of the reasons you'd add a auto feeder. What's another one?
Well, you're not around your tank every single day. If you go on vacation, you might need a solution to feed your tank, so your fish don't starve while you're on vacation.
That's right. Let's look at a few of them.
First, we're going to talk about the Eheim Everyday Auto Feeder. This is our entry point for anyone that's getting into automatic feeders. Super simple, battery operated, turns a couple times a day. It's an easy way to get started and budget friendly.
That's right. Some of the really cool details about it. I like this little fan back here. It has a fan to keep your food dry for long periods of time. A lot of times we're putting these in canopies that have high humidity, high moisture environments. So this is going to keep the food dry. And like you said, it has a battery. So if you are living in an area where you get a lot of power outages, this thing runs off a battery. So you don't need to recharge it on a wall, or you don't need to have it plugged into a controller. So this is a great, affordable budget option if you're looking for something really, really basic.
Yeah. I also like the adjustable feeding port, so you can adjust how much or how little it's going to be feeding every time it rotates.
Very cool. So next up, we got this little guy here, the Lifegard Feeder. So this one is a little bit different from that Eheim in that it charges with USB. So it's really convenient if you're just using it as your everyday feeder, something that's going to stay on your tank all the time, because you just recharge it when it's low battery.
So it sounds like this one's just a step up. If you want a little bit more advancement in your automatic feeder, this is the way to go. It's a little bit more money, but still relatively affordable.
That's right.
Next, we're going to be talking about the AFS. This is the next step up in advancement. So it's going to be Apex integratable or Apex compatible. So plug it into your Apex and you can get all the advanced programming with all your pumps, lights that are already integrated into the Apex. So when you're feeding, you can turn off your pumps, you turn on your lights, turn off your skimmer, all that really cool stuff that was going to make feeding super simple, super easy, so you don't waste anything down the overflow.
That's right. It gets fully integrated into an automatic feeding system or feed mode, which is really cool. Another cool aspect of this, as you can see, is that the chamber for the food is actually within the housing of the feeder, which means that it's going to keep the food dry with a seal here. But the downside of that is because it has to move up, out and back from this housing, it's a little bit louder than the rest of the options, but it'll keep the food the driest.
I think noise is kind of a pro though, in that it means that you know it's working. So if you aren't hearing that noise at 2 p.m. every time you have it set to feed, you know it's not working and you need to take a look. So I think that's kind of a pro. Well, some people might think it's a con.
Definitely. Keep it in mind when you're choosing your feeder. So this is the Plank from Avast Marine, and while it's a big feeder, it has a lot of cool features. One of the ones that stands out right away is this big tube right here. This is the mixing chamber. It's going to mix the food into your water before it floats away or over into your overflow.
Yeah, so I like the Avast Plank because you can feed a wide variety of different foods, whether it's freeze-dried krill, really small coral foods like reef jerky, reef roids, reef chili. It's going to be really precise in dosing those foods to your tank. And with the mixing chamber, it just means this goes straight into the water column, not sitting on that surface.
That's right. It uses like an auger here to feed those little tiny pieces of food. So it's really, really precise. And it has these two plugs here so you can control it with a controller like your Apex, but you might need something else, right?
Yeah, you could do a digital timer if you don't want to have a full Apex system, but to really get the most out of it, I would go with a controller like the Apex so you can integrate it with your pumps, skimmer, and return pump.
That's right.
So your fish might not be eating dry food like pellet or flake foods yet. And in that case, you probably need something that's going to automatically feed frozen or refrigerated foods that are more similar to live foods. So in that case, you're going to want something like the IND Aquatics AF4, which is going to do that automatically for you when you're on vacation or if you're away for the weekend. So I like to talk about this. What do you like?
Well, the main thing is that it can connect to any Apex or any kind of controller that you have through a 0 to 10 volt connection. And that means, like you said, you can feed while you're away from home. We've used this in the office a lot, and I use it to help supplement feeding on this tank and the tank in our studio as well. And it does a really good job of delivering a good amount of, a consistent amount of food each time it feeds, which is a really key feature to me. But what else is there?
So if you don't have an Apex, you can get the Wi-Fi option so you can control it through an app, which I think is really cool. That brings a whole new level of control to a feeder standalone, whether you have a controller or not. That brings a lot to the table. I also like that it has a really good feeding capacity where you can, I think, put 50 cubes in there.
That's right. Yeah, you can put a ton of food, but there is a downside to it, as there is with most things.
Yes.
You do have to clean this thing. As you're putting stinky, nasty fish food into here and keeping it refrigerated for an extended period of time, it does start to get a little stinky and it does need to be cleaned. They recommend cleaning it once a week, and I definitely recommend sitting on that schedule. If you let it go for too long, it doesn't get very nice. But with the cleaning kit that comes with it, it's actually really easy to clean. Just make sure you stay on top of that.
Yeah. Just like any other piece of equipment that you have in your tank, you need to clean it and maintain it. So
auto feeders are great for peace of mind while you're away from home. Which one are you guys gonna choose?